So what is it that really separates a good company from a truly great one? One that can just weather any storm. Well, a lot of analysts call that special something a moat. And today, we're going to put on our investigator hats and dig into one company, Constellation Energy, to see if it's really built itself an impenetrable corporate castle.
So here's our game plan for this investigation. First, we'll get on the same page about what a business moat even is. Then, we'll start gathering clues, looking at Constellation's product, its growth, and its financials. And finally, we'll put it all together and deliver the verdict.
All right, let's dive right in. Before we can even start looking at the company, we've got to understand what it is we're looking for.
You know, it seems like a simple question, but the answer is pretty deep. It's not just about having a hit product for a year or seeing your sales pop. Nope. The real difference maker is having a competitive advantage that lasts.
And that brings us to this awesome idea of a business moat. Seriously, think of a medieval castle. What was the first line of defense? That big, deep, wide ditch filled with water. The moat. It made it incredibly hard for enemies to even get to the walls. Well, in the business world, a moat does the exact same thing. It protects a company's profits from all the competitors trying to storm the castle.
And this slide right here really lays out the stakes. On one side, you have that protected castle, the moated business. It's got something unique, not a lot of competition, and it can actually set its own prices. But on the other side, you've got a commodity business. It's a free-for-all where everyone's selling basically the same thing, and it just turns into these brutal, endless price wars. Our whole mission today is to figure out which one of these sounds more like Constellation Energy.
Okay, now that we know what we're looking for, our investigation can really begin. Let's start with the first piece of evidence, the product itself. What exactly is Constellation Energy selling, and is there anything special about it?
Well, right off the bat, we get a pretty clear picture. Constellation isn't just some run-of-the-mill power company. It is the #1 producer of carbon-free electricity in the U.S. And the heart of that whole operation is its massive fleet of nuclear power plants.
So why is nuclear power such a big deal? Well, first, the scale is just huge, and you can't just build one of these things overnight. The cost, the licensing, the sheer expertise required, these are massive barriers to entry for any potential competitor. And here's the key. Unlike wind or solar, nuclear power is on 24/7. It's reliable, clean power, which is exactly what things like data centers are starving for right now.
And get this, 96.8%. That's their nuclear capacity factor. It basically means their plants were running at almost full power almost all the time. I mean, that is a stunning number. It shows they don't just have the assets, they run them better than pretty much anyone. Now that is reliability you can sell.
Okay, so a unique and super reliable product, that's a pretty strong clue #1. But is anyone actually buying more of it? Let's move on to our second clue and see if the sales story holds up.
Well, just looking at the raw numbers, things are looking good. In the first 9 months of the year, revenues jumped from about $18.2 billion to over $19.4 billion. That's a very clear trend, and it's pointing up.
But, you know, any good investigator has to ask the tough questions. Is this real, sustainable growth, or is it just a temporary blip? You know, maybe they bought another company, or there's some funny business with the accounting.
And the evidence here says the growth is legit. It's coming from the fundamentals. Their plants are just running more often. They're literally squeezing more capacity out of them. Their customers are happy, and they're renewing their contracts. And yeah, supportive government policy definitely doesn't hurt. So this isn't some one-off event. It's the sign of a really healthy, growing business.
So let's recap. The product is unique, and sales are growing for all the right reasons. But here's the ultimate test, right? Does any of that actually make it to the bottom line? It's time to examine clue #3, the company's financial fortress.
Let's just zoom in on the third quarter for a second. Out of almost $6.6 billion in revenue, they managed to turn over $1 billion of that into operating profit. That's a really healthy conversion. It shows they're not just chasing sales at any cost, they're chasing profitable sales.
Now, profit on an income statement is one thing, but as they say, cash is king. What really matters is whether the company can turn those paper profits into actual, cold, hard cash in the bank. This is probably one of the most important checks you can do on the quality of a company's earnings.
And wow, just look at this. It's fantastic. Over 9 months, the company reported about $1.9 billion in net income, but it generated a whopping $3.4 billion in cash from its operations. Let me tell you, When you see cash flow that is so much higher than the net income, that is an incredibly powerful sign that the earnings are real and that this business is a cash-generating machine. This strength really pops when you put Constellation side by side with its competitors. While everyone else is relying on more common stuff like natural gas, Constellation's scarce nuclear fleet gives it much more stable profits and a product that is perfectly tailored for our modern digital world.
And if you wanted just one number to kind of wrap all of this up, it would be this one, return on equity, or ROE. At 25%, Constellation is generating incredible profits compared to the money shareholders have put in. This kind of performance, so far above the industry average, is one of the classic signs of a company with a really powerful moat.
All right, we've looked at the product, we've dug into the sales, we've checked the profits and the cash flow. All the evidence is on the table. I think it's time to close this case and deliver our final verdict.
So let's just quickly run through the evidence one last time. We found unique assets with that best-in-class nuclear fleet. We saw high-quality growth that's driven by real operational improvements. We confirmed that the financials are rock solid, with great profits and even better cash conversion. And we noted those massive barriers that keep competitors at bay. The case is pretty compelling.
In this quote from the source analysis just nails it. The moat isn't just about having the nuclear plants. It's about the entire system they've built that lets them avoid getting sucked into that commodity price competition.
So, after looking at all the evidence, what's the final verdict? Well, the business performance is stable and it's getting better. The key strengths, that unique nuclear scale, the policy support, and its insane reliability are undeniable. Now, sure, every castle has threats to keep an eye on, like changing energy prices or regulations, but our investigation leads us to one very clear conclusion. Constellation Energy has built itself a strong and durable business moat. And that just leaves us with one final huge question to think about. In a world where AI and data centers are getting hungrier and hungrier for reliable, clean power, what's the future value of a moat like this one? Could it actually become priceless? Something